Hi, this is Chris Oberg. We're reporting again tonight from Atlanta, and I'm with Pastor John Brunt from the Azure Hills Church. We thought we'd give you another Southeastern California Conference viewpoint. John, we've had a full day of business sitting on our seats mostly. What was interesting that happened today?
Well, most of the day was on the church manual, and I don't know if you would agree with me, but I found a lot of it fairly tedious. A lot of small points in the church manual. We actually spent over a half an hour on 4 words that suggested that local churches should have business meetings once a year. And there were various amendments. There were people who felt that wasn't often enough, and so we had an amendment that it be 4 times a year, and when that didn't pass, an amendment that it be 2 times, and then an amendment that recommended 3 times, but at least 1. And all those amendments lost, and finally we voted the motion, but it was a long process, and I did not at all envy the chair, because as all the amendments came, it did tend to get confusing, and he had quite a task in sorting all of it out. My favorite comment in the whole discussion came when somebody asked, and what if we don't hold meetings this often? Are they going to send the police?
Yeah, that there was a person from Europe, I believe. I've really enjoyed the comments coming from the Trans-European division. They have a good sense of humor. Another person from that division, I believe, said, you know, I believe the church needs a revival. I just don't believe that it happens in church business meeting. That's interesting. We eventually voted the original wording of what was being suggested. Well, there were a lot of those kinds of conversations on the floor today. You know, the average church member at home in Southeastern might ask, what are all these church manual changes really about? How would you summarize sort of that tedious work that we did today?
Well, it shows that there is a democratic process here. The chairs let everybody who wanted to make amendments have them on the floor and get them voted on. I think that maybe some people take the church manual more seriously than others. But it was obvious that people were taking it very seriously, and you have to say something for the fact that they allowed people to say whatever they wanted to say.
There is full process, and I do think we saw that in our church today. We also, a lot more officer names came in. What might you say to the person home in Southeastern? We vote in these long list of names for people in the office. We don't know most of these people.
No, I think we have to admit that really we trust the work of the nominating committee process. There are over 200 people on the nominating committee, and they work all day long, all day and night pretty much with this process. But when they come to the floor pretty well trusts what they do and simply votes the names. I have to admit, a good share of the people I don't know, and so I simply vote the list. There was, however, one interesting thing today. There was a motion to refer one of the lists back. On the floor, a person doesn't say anything about that. They just go to the nominating committee and present their objection. I don't know what the objection was, but I have very seldom ever seen a report referred back as we saw today.
There was an attempt yesterday to refer the list back, and it failed. So that was interesting today. I'm just curious, what's been inspiring? I know you've had a few people stop you as a pastor of the Azure Hills Church. What's been inspiring today? Comments you've heard?
Well, I think the most inspiring thing for me has been the personal conversations I've had in the little bit of time we've had outside of the hall. It was interesting this morning when I first walked in the door, a woman came up and said, I want to introduce myself because I've never had the chance to meet you yet. I'm a member of the Azure Hills Church. So I came 3,000 miles to meet one of our church members. Now, she had only transferred in a couple months ago, so I won't hit myself too hard over that. But I think the most inspiring thing today has been meeting with some of my former students. I've had conversations with at least 3 former students who are doing exciting things. And to see students that, in one case, I remember struggled a bit and wasn't sure if his past education had really prepared him for college. And I remember encouraging him and saying, you know, you might have had a little bit of a lack of education, but you're bright and you can make up for it. And now he's going to a very important position in the church, and so it's inspiring to see that kind of thing.
You actually do see a lot of those reunions out in the hallway, people who haven't seen one another for a long time, and you can see them running toward each other and embracing. It's been fun to observe some of that. We're sitting on the platform in the main arena, and we're going to wrap it up because the participants for the evening program are starting. If you're watching on the Hope Channel, this is the backdrop that you're seeing every day and every evening as you take those programs in. That's your viewpoint for today. Tomorrow's a whole nother day here in Atlanta, and we'll talk to you after that.